camera speed.
Hey, action! Hello, lovelies. Welcome to the Sunshine and Star Show. I'm the Sunshine. The Star has been a shooting star because she's not here today. But what I do have is my wonderful friend, Ben Frondorf, who you may remember from previous podcasts I did called the Good News Podcast.
Also talking about movies.
Yes,
because that
also.
seems to be my personality and the only reason you bring me here.
Oh, no.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
No.
So he wants
pleasure.
to talk about Oscar nominations.
Yes.
Which I know nothing about, so I'll also be informed as much as you will.
Awesome. So, I need to pull up the list.
Oh, gotta get them stats.
So, 2022 Oscars just had their, what's the word I'm looking for? Had their nomination list finally given out.
Yay.
And a lot of it is, already there's a mass amount of controversy going on, most because of No Way Home.
Oh.
Because Marvel, I believe this was the first time they heavily pushed for an Oscar nod for one of the movies, submitted an actual official screenplay, everything. Granted, they got nominated for Best VFX Works, but a lot of people are frustrated it's not Best Picture.
Ah, okay.
And on the one hand, totally get that. On the other hand, I don't know. Because this is my personal thing. Like, I think the movie was fine.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything outstanding like some of the other stuff, like Dune, for example. Because that's also just me being a Dune fanboy, so what do I know at the end of the day? So, but no, like, it's a great movie. It's a valid movie. Best Picture worthy, probably. But, I mean, that also stems into the other issues with the Academy just being completely outdated altogether and just not getting with the time. Going on a tangent, I need to focalize all of this. So, let's just go ahead and break this up into basically how the Oscars have been faulting for the past couple of years.
Sure.
Mostly having to deal with the recent social trends of, like, accepting more LGBT people, Black African Americans, Black creators, Asian creators, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, one Fantastic Parasite won Best Picture, and Bong Joon-ho won Best Director.
Honestly.
Both completely deserve. Parasite was
for
fantastic in every conceivable way. Subs or dubs, I don't care. It was a phenomenal movie, and it was fantastic. But it also stems back to 2018 with Black Panther because the Oscars wanted to create an entirely new category called Most Popular, which the parameters of that were so incredibly vague.
I was just thinking that does sound
exactly.
vague.
It's so incredibly vague. And a lot of people, Hollywood and around the internet, like mostly obviously in America, but generally worldwide, was consistently agreed upon. Like, that just sounds like you don't want to give not only Black Panther, but also just like your things like your big blockbusters like Star Wars, Marvel, DC. The recognition a lot of people think they deserve.
It basically seems like it was created for those kind of big name companies.
Big names, but then also it got to the point where people were like skeptical. This could just be a way to go ahead and like, you know what? You're a minority creator. Here's Most Popular. You won't be nominated for Best Picture at all, but we've acknowledged the fact you are a box office success. I'm like, one, box office is fine. It means, it's a popular movie. That's great. But I'm just like, but the reason why Best Picture is so coveted is because it's widely regarded to be a critical financial success.
True, yeah.
Which goes then into the most recent Oscars where I'm just like, the only Best Picture nominee I know of is Dune. And that seemed to be the only one that's actually a critical and a financial success, whereas everything else was more critical, which on the one hand, absolutely fine. Yeah. I'm glad they're well-crafted movies. I mean, Belfast has Judi Dench. I don't even remember what else was nominated, and I feel so bad.
Honestly, I couldn't list any, to be honest, so it's okay.
I need to look real quick, because this is basically the entire... And then I want to get into animation later.
Yeah,
that,
of course.
That in and of itself is a problem in my eyes. Wow, they just shoved Best Picture all the way down to the bottom. Who would have thought? Wow, the most coveted award, and you're just like, who cares about it,
I think it's actually maybe a tactical thing to put it at the bottom,
so
you can look at the other categories.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Smart enough, the Oscars website only had Best Picture, so what do I know? That doesn't even matter. You know what? Doesn't even matter. But no, it's just a consistent issue that just the Academy overall just does not seem to care for minority creators, let alone just like what the general populace and the impact of like these bigger names. Like again, Star Wars and Marvel, their technical successes, their VFX work flawless. But those are the same movies that are inspiring people to go out and create new stuff. You're not going to see like, oh, Moonlight about a gay black man. One phenomenal storyline, phenomenal film. But are you going to see many people cite that to be your number one? Oh, more exactly in that terminology, La La Land.
Oh,
La La Land was nothing more than a way for Hollywood to go on ahead and just kind of, for lack of a better term, express their more, well, for lack of a better term, and more like a PG term, just express what makes them them. And it's just the pretentious 1950s, 1960s attitude that everyone in the Academy lives with. And it gets to the point where it's just like, do you care about the people who are coming into this industry? Or do you want to go ahead and just celebrate the guys who are about to, sadly pass away and just never be seen again? Which I'm like, yes, Spielberg and West Side Story, phenomenal movie, phenomenal time. But like, you gotta understand, like, the younger creators, the younger crowd. There's a reason why no one went to see West Side Story. It's not because it's a 3-hour musical. It's because it's a 3-hour musical ripped from the 60s. Also, just 3-hour musicals in general, just like kind of a slag for me. But that's just me. And I'm not a musical fan, so what do I know at the end of the day? I'm more of the character study, introspective, and bombastic blockbusters. So, the academies aren't meant for me, but what do I know?
But no, you had a lot of good insight just then, so I think you know at least a little bit.
That's true. And then you just get onto the topic of, speaking of like the Academy not updating with time, so you didn't have the aspect of just the animation.
Yeah.
And this is where my hatred for the Oscars really kind of comes out.
Well, if it's okay, I have a couple of questions for you before you get into animation.
Please.
So, can you get a little closer so people know that you're here?
I'm sorry.
And not off frame?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I feel bad now.
It's okay.
So,
I'm just curious because, not to try to be like, I'm shouting at this YouTuber or anything, but on Film Theory, I recently saw a video that was created about how Marvel is basically keeping the movie business thriving in the sense of bringing people to want to go in person to a movie and not just watch it from home. What are your thoughts on that?
That is, I agree with that 100%. I fully agree with like big name blockbusters are what's keeping this industry alive right now. Because let's look for example for No Way Home. Going back to that, theaters for the past 2021, 2020 years just been down and low, massive closures, massive fall of stock, and then you release No Way Home. It's not even negating all the hype that movie acquired over the calendar year. It's been out for about 2 months now.
Right,
it is the 5th highest grossing movie of all time.
That's crazy.
And that is in 8 weeks. And none of that is streaming. That is all box office. There is a reason why Disney has stopped doing, here's a big release, put it on Disney Plus for a premium, because that model failed. That failed with Mulan, because when you're like, okay, we'll watch Mulan, sure. But for $30, and it's probably one of the worst Disney live action remakes I've ever seen. That not only tore the soul of the animated Mulan, but spat it back out in a message that frankly can be interpreted as more or less, you're a woman who wants to fight. Fantastic, that's awesome. But no, Mulan is a woman who's literally given God-given powers and can go on ahead and do no wrong. How is that it's a message for women? No, that's just a message that you have to be born with the right circumstances to do good things.
Yeah, it's a completely different storyline in all honesty.
It's a completely different storyline, but more or less it's a completely different message that I know where they were coming from, but they skewed it in such a way that made it be more like...
I mean, it seemed like they were trying to... Oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
It seemed like they were trying to appeal more to today's society with how they view different...
Yes.
Men and women and things like that.
I
like too catered, I guess.
I don't want to go on ahead and like say like it was catered to be the female empowerment movie by trying too hard to give every single woman there like an altruistic power that makes them superior to everyone. It felt like that.
Yeah.
But then there's also movies that do that so much better. Like I will equate this MCU. Aunt May in the MCU. I may not like the Spider-Man movies in the MCU. But she's a very well-written character. She's actually the sworn mother, but she's not afraid to get her hands dirty. Same thing with MJ, same thing with Black Widow, same thing with Gamora, same thing with all of them. You don't, yes, those are mostly male-dominated leads and male-dominated actors, but when it comes down to those characters, they are written in such an interesting and dynamic way that even though they're playing second fiddle, a lot of times people are saying they're preferred characters.
Right.
Like in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, my emotional center was not with Peter Quill and Ego. It was with Gamora and Nebula and their relationship to Thanos. Because
that was a great storyline, honestly.
Because as someone who's like the younger sibling between me and my brother and I, and we weren't that close when we were up in Cincinnati. It was a wonderful time to realize like this kind of relates to my brother and I, because it's just like we weren't close, but circumstances forced us to be close, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, it's so cute. I love that. I love how you can literally relate.
Yeah, and it was like I don't need it to be
words.
I don't need it to be a male and his brother. It could be anyone. It could be a younger brother or a younger sister with their older sibling. I don't care.
Yeah, it's still applicable.
It still is applicable. Same thing with like Avatar: The Last Airbender, for example, the parallels between Zuko and Azula and Sokka and Katara. I don't need my sibling to be a female to understand where that connection comes from. I just need it to be a loving connection. Or even in the case of, again, going back to Zuko and Azula, doesn't need to be a loving connection, but that makes me appreciate and gratify my relationship to my brother even more, because I can see what it could devolve into.
Oh, that's so precious. I love that.
That's just critical analysis, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, do you have anything else real quick you want to punch my way?
Yeah, just...
Since I was going to go on the animation rant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It's okay.
Please, hit me. No. Metaphorically.
Okay. I had to. You set it up.
No, you did. And I will be more upset if you didn't.
All right. Well, I don't have any more as far as comparing it to the reason people go to the movies and your initial points on the Oscars. I do want to move into what you did bring up and want to also talk about for animation in the Oscars. I'm curious about your thoughts on how they go about it and how they go about the nominations for the various categories.
Okay.
Here we go, right?
So I'm going to tackle animation first because it's going to be the biggest chunk of it.
Of course.
The Oscars do not understand animation at all. In my opinion, I think the Oscars view animation as a gimmick, as what Disney set out to do in the 30s, where make it family-friendly and profitable. That is still how animation is perceived today, especially here in the West. But at the same time, that is where the Oscars need to, wake up and realize there is about 250 other countries out there that are doing animation that are not just about a father and a son, brothers, like familial relationship, everything happy-dory, like for instance,
that's a good point.
For instance, my brother and I, we do a Studio Ghibli marathon right now. Every Friday, we are watching a movie by Hayao Miyazaki and just seeing what animation can do.
Oh, that's cool.
We have seen a girl fight for environmental rights. We have seen another girl adopted by wolves and became the spirit of the forest, join up with a good friend and just fight, just try to survive. Princess Mononoke is very confusing, I'm sorry.
That sounds really cool, though.
But the most recent one we watched, and it's my favorite Ghibli movie, is The Wind Rises, in which it's this beautiful story of the man who sadly made the Model Zero fighter jet in World War II that, slammed into Pearl Harbor and just... It's that moral ambiguity, but the way it's portrayed and the way all documentation is, he never wanted to make warplanes. He just wanted to create. And I think, is a message that the Oscars love. And it's like, because if a lot of times the Oscars would go for movies in the 50s or 60s, the heyday. How do you make a movie? Like, they also have a movie of making a movie. It's cool like that. They get some industry insights. And I'm just like, yeah, that is cool. I like seeing movies like that. But then...
It shouldn't be the template for all the movies.
No,
it
shouldn't be the template for everything. To get Best Picture. More importantly, I think animation does it so much better. And again, you gotta also widen out to not just movie, but just creation in general.
Right.
Like, as someone who fancies himself as a natural storyteller, I don't care what medium my story is in or what story you are telling me, verbally, written, visually, interactive. If it is so compelling that for my brother's first reaction to Wind Rises, the credits play and he demands to pause it so he can weep.
Oh, no.
Mixture of sadness and joy while I'm sitting behind him just like, this is why this is my favorite Ghibli movie. And we get to just talk about how perfect this is. It's beautiful, and I'm annoyed because that didn't even get nominated for an Oscar. Because Frozen came out the same year, and a story of a creative guy who has to suffer and gets beat down time and time again. Or A Tale of Two Sisters, one with ice powers. Granted, one was more impactful to the West, the other more impactful for the East. But that's what I'm getting at. The Oscars are so centralized on just the United States that they don't bother to reach out. Which is why I'm so happy Spirited Away won in 2002. Because that was the first and only time an anime has actually won Best Animated Feature. And then I look to the nominees for like this year. I'm sorry, Raya and the Last Dragon should not be nominated.
No, it really shouldn't.
As a TV show?
I mean, it's a good movie, but it shouldn't be nominated.
I'm not even convinced it's a good movie. No, like, the theme of that movie is trust. But it is such a skewed method of that trust. It's like, oh yeah, I trust you, my best friend who I just met. Here's literally the soul of a dragon. Cool, I'm going to take that, break it apart, and then divvy up, and then everything goes to hell.
Okay, I'm going to revise my statement. It was good for the fact that Awkwafina was in it, because she was hilarious as the character, but...
Well, I disagree with that, but whatever.
That's about it.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
it's because I've liked her in other things, and so I'm used to her
fair.
sense of humor, but...
But no, then you have something like Encanto comes out so many months later, and I'm just like...
That was so good, I loved it.
That is a movie that resonates. Like, if it's that or Mitchell's, those are the two movies that So Help Me God better win. And I'm happy Flea was nominated, because I believe that's from France. I don't know, and I don't want to be quoted on that. Because I don't want to get that wrong.
Right, yeah.
But the point is, like, yeah, you have one international animation nomination. Okay, cool.
Seems like now they're doing it for the sake of
diversity.
Doing it for the sake,
not even for the sake of diversity. It's just the fact that, like, a lot of Western animation is starting to be complacent. Like, in my opinion, Encanto was the last great Disney, not Pixar, last great Disney anime movie since, I want to say, Wreck-It Ralph. Because, I'm sorry, Frozen just couldn't sell for me. Frozen 2 had no plan whatsoever going into it. It was just like, don't even start on Ralph Breaks the Internet. Oh my god.
We're gonna act like it didn't happen.
That is another episode of the podcast that will last about an hour and a half. we can watch that movie scene by scene. I can tell you why that's wrong.
Ooh, that would actually be kind of fun.
That would be fun, actually.
Yeah. Let us know if you want to see that.
We'll put that on the back burner. We can do that later.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just like, I'm in, what's my train of thought? No, it's one international, but the West is getting so complacent. Like, I'm sorry, 2016. This is the year that I think broke me for Oscar nominations for the animation.
Oh no.
Because you nominate The Boss Baby, Alec Baldwin as a talking child over The Silent Voice.
That's
which is a movie that made me, when it stopped, I had to cry, and I wanted to call people who I knew and I apologized to them. Because that movie's, the entire central idea is the main antagonist is the main protagonist. The entire thesis of that movie is, how does one forgive yourself for the things you have done?
Yeah.
Do you go out of your way to make amends? Do you just try to go ahead and slowly build friendships back? Do you... That.
Yeah.
And done in an hour and 20 minutes. And you have freaking Alec Baldwin dressed as a puppy, having his face pushed into a dog's butt.
Yeah.
And like, that's cinema. That is high art.
Yeah, I don't get that either. Especially because of the way it's very much contrasted with the way those two movies are made and the audience they're targeted for. I would think that they'd want to promote a message of like one that impacted audiences greatly with like wanting to change themselves, because that's what movies should do in the first place. It should incite action for someone to, want to make something better about themselves or like the world around them. And not necessarily every movie does that, but at least for this type of format of the Oscars, it should be revered.
I agree with you. In terms of the Oscars, in my opinion, while I would like nothing more to see blockbusters get nominated for like Best Picture and stuff like that. I think the Oscars are definitely more reserved for more introspection and like movies that make you think. Which is why on the one hand, going back to this year, I like the fact that Encanto is presented, but I also like the fact that Mitchell vs. Machines is nominated, because. Here's the fun story for you. I wanted to be a paleontologist when I was a little kid.
Really?
And now I'm in film. And both kids in that movie, one goes to paleontology, the other goes to film. And I was sitting with my friends watching this for the first time. My friend at the time paused me and she turned back and like, Ben, are you feeling attacked? And I'm like, no, I'm feeling attacked by both of them right now. This is just me, and I don't know how to feel about this because
that's so funny. What are they on?
Because both kids act like aspects of myself. The boy, one, has troubles with relationships and talking to girls he likes, which is highly relatable, and I hope to God we don't talk about that, but that's later. But he's into dinosaurs. He can identify things. I used to do just that. The girl, wow, why do the names escape me? I know the boy's name was like Aaron. I do not remember the girl's name. No, it's not Maggie. I feel so bad. I'm going to look this up real quick. I need to look this up. I need to look this up. No, I need to look this up because I feel like I'm insulting the movie if I don't look this up.
Disclaimer, no insult intended.
No insult intended, but I need to make sure I'm getting this right, and that's my big thing, because, this movie is flawless in my eyes. Oh, God, he's going to be like a real... Katie, that was it. Katie, oh my God, I hate myself.
It's okay, no, you're fine.
I know. But no, and Katie just goes into film, creates stuff like that, and it's just... And a lot of that, I see with my mom and my dad, because my dad... Before I moved down to North Carolina, my dad would take week-long trips down to Charlotte. And we eventually... It was, but then you realize, Dad, you're only here for 2 days of the 7-day week. I want my father in my life.
That's fair. That's valid, yeah.
So, that's when we made the move. And it was just like, in that time span, I'm like, I don't know my father that well. I didn't know this till, 7 months ago. My dad was a track stud.
What?
Like, my dad was given an offer by freaking Stanford University to come to their school to run track.
Shut up.
I was like, Dad... Where was this? And it's been in the back closet for all these. Dad, these are 3 binders from Grandma about everything time you were mentioned in the newspaper.
Really?
Yes.
That is sick.
It was a weekly. My dad's name was a weekly occurrence in a majority of newspapers in Cincinnati, and
Stop it.
In the mid '80s.
No.
I'm like, Dad, where was this? It's just been there. I don't know these things about my father, and I'm just like. And again, in Mitchell saying, the dad, goes out of his way to, try to bond, try to do all these things. And, in the movie, the daughter's put off all the time. And I'm just like, fuck, this is me about to go off to college again, isn't it? And, that's what my dad wanted to spend one-on-one time with me because I was the last kid to go out to college. Because there's only 2 of us.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, put him off. I don't want to do this. I want to just be with myself, enjoy my time. And I didn't appreciate that back then. And there's the regret there. And I feel it. Yeah. And that movie just resonates with me so much. Both as a student studying film and as someone who actually makes movies.
You're so good, by the way.
Thank you. Just going to stroke that ego real quick.
But it's true.
No. And then as someone who, is currently... in the midst of his junior year, realizing certain things about film production and film in general that I don't know if I really like. For example, I don't know if I like being on set that much as I used to. I prefer doing the critical analysis work. I prefer doing pre-production stuff now. So we'll see where that goes. But
yeah, you just find your niche and what you like.
Yeah, and that's skewing off topic. Back to the Oscars now. Oh my God, we are skewed off topic.
No, it's
sorry.
okay. But honestly, I feel like people would find it interesting too, because the behind the scenes aspect of it too can also contribute, and in a lot of ways I feel like the Oscars kind of brings that to light, like, oh yeah, there's other things besides just what you see.
Oh yeah, no, there's always the other things.
I just realized when I did that, I like cover your face, and I'm sorry.
Can you do that again real quick? Cover my face. Okay, sweet. You guys can look at the video now.
No. Okay, but what are some of the more, I guess, not as buzzworthy nomination sections, if you will,
oh my God. Okay, well,
that you wish were appreciated more?
Oh my God. First and foremost, costume design and makeup work.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, wow, cool. Makeup's like, okay, whatever. I'm sorry. You want to watch the X-Men behind the scenes and see, like, Jennifer Lawrence get up at 3 a.m., put on makeup for 6 hours, and then go to set wearing it for 14 hours, and then have to take it all off, and then again and again?
Yeah, that's insane.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
The makeup work on that team, on those movies, are impressive.
And the fact it was always consistent, and there was nothing out of place either.
The consistency, like that's the most obvious example. Like, it's just a lowbrow example, but the point is that it's still there.
Right.
Whereas, like, costume work, you don't get the believability without the solid costuming. Mm-hmm. And from what I've done with my own shorts as well, is I try to convey different feelings with different color shirts. So, like, one of my shorts I did for a class, it's called Failsafe. One of the lead characters starts out wearing blue in his first scene. His second scene is purple as the main character realizes he's kind of shady. And then it goes to red in the final scene, and then the character dies. It's a progression of just, like, blue you associate with, like, more friendly, purple you kind of get a little and then red is like pure hatred. You need him to go.
You're wearing red right now?
Well, you know what? You live and let live. No, it's the subtle things like that with costuming, and like it's the things when you're making a movie you don't think about. You're just like, oh yeah, just come on, whatever. I'm like, but if you think about it and like really try to, like my most recent short, for example, it's called Mirror Me.
That was so fun.
She's
yeah, I did voiceover work.
She's great. I loved her.
Oh, thank you.
But no, the lead character in that wears nothing but yellow, and there's a picture frame of him and his ex in a movie where it's also her, where the frame itself is green, whereas all the other times associated with the ex, it's blue. Because you have the yellow, you get the blue, mix them together, you get the green picture frame.
I was wondering why the picture frame was green.
Yeah.
I thought it was just, that's so, I didn't know you, oh my gosh.
And also color association, everyone in the opening scene, I made sure wear like brighter colors like reds and oranges. Because then it's more leaning towards the yellow, leaning towards the association.
That's why you said that in the email.
Yes.
Okay. I see you.
Yes. That's what I do. It's the smaller, more subtle details. And also, moving on from that, more underappreciated Oscar categories, because again, smaller details like that. I definitely think, sound design.
For sure.
A solid lesson I've picked up on and I've learned is audiences will always forgive a kind of okay looking movie, but when your sound is bad, there is no forgiveness.
Oh, that is very true.
No mercy. When you mess up sound, it's noticeable. When you don't and no one pays attention to it, you've done your job not only well, but you've exceeded expectations.
Facts.
So sound makes up half of the movie.
Oh, for
and
sure.
if you don't get good sound, you're not getting a good movie in the end. And sound is not something appreciated, let alone like I think fully valued. Like, oh yeah, over the commercial break, we're going ahead and announce the best sound design. Like, no, announce that during the show. I want to see. I want to hear their speech. I want to hear what these guys have done. Literally, the sound design. I want to hear it.
Now that I think about it, with all that you had just said, I feel maybe one of the reasons sound design is so underestimated is because people have produced it and mixed the sound so well that because we don't notice anything like going wrong or whatever, we just come to expect it always to be that quality, and we're just like, it is what it is.
No, that's exactly the reason is because it's good sound design is so normalized and so perfect that when you actually go ahead and think about it, you start to notice when one movie is better. Like, for example, Dune. By the way, Dune's nominated for 10 different Oscars, and I'm in love with that. No, Dune, for example, has phenomenal sound design. If you really just sit down and just listen, you can hear the explosions going off on the attack on Arrakis. You can hear
spoilers, by the way.
I mean, that was in the trailer, so who really cares? But no, you can hear the beetles crawling around on Jason Momoa's fingers, and I'm just like, how? Oh, you're just like, all right, he'll just do this. I'm like, all right, let's cut the sound. I'm like, no, keep the sound in. It feels more lived in. And it's just like, that's so sick. I have a list. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. You're okay.
I'm not.
You don't need to feel
I'm
bad.
not prepared for this interview.
I like how you're like, yeah, I've been looking forward to being on this show.
I'm looking forward to showing the show, and I'm just
then
like,
you show up, and
what's the topic? What's the topic, Ray? And I'm like, well, whatever you want. I'm like, crap. Okay, well, we gotta think here real quick. So sorry.
You're fine.
No, like my throat's getting sore right now.
Oh no.
That's good.
Hey, at least you're behind the scenes.
That's true. Hey. But no, I think some other things are like, honestly, the more I think about it, the Oscars only really have like a couple of awards that everyone wants to know, and that's your best picture, your best director, your best actor and actress, supporting actor and actress, and animated feature.
Those seem like
those are the big ones, because it's like, all right, cool, the best movie of the year, who directed the best movie of the year, who was the best actor, who was the best actress, who was the best secondary, and then what's the best animated movie. The Oscar release is made for children, even though, let's be honest here, it's rising a lot more adults because, oh my god, generational trauma is a thing. Please, dear God, give Encanto the Oscar.
Please, I really hope
that
so.
That one, Mitchell's. I actually kind of hope Mitchell's, but that's neither here nor there.
And also,
Encanto's beautiful. Okay.
I know, and the songs are also lyrically just written to be a lot more relatable than I feel like other Disney songs in the past. For
Real
sure.
Quick, going on a tangent about Encanto. Okay, the entire flashback.
We don't talk about Bruno.
The entire sequence when Abuela gives her backstory.
Oh.
Spoilers for Encanto, by the way. We're going to do this.
Spoilers.
But there's no dialogue. It's 3 minutes of just pure visual storytelling.
And like some narration, but very little.
Not even that. We'll get to that part in a second.
Yeah.
But then it's just this utterly gorgeous guitar and soft-spoken words. I cannot pronounce it because I do not know Spanish for the life of me, and I hate myself for that. But that's
no, it's okay. What do you want to try to pronounce? Like,
no, it's the title of the song itself. Because it's in Spanish.
I forget the title of the song.
So do I. But it's utterly beautiful, and I think that and the Beauty and the Beast ballroom scene where they're just dancing. I think that's Disney at their best.
Yeah, especially the different angles too. They didn't just have like one shot for that dancing either.
Yeah, and then also because that's just James Baxter, a phenomenal animator who's like, oh my god, that man. I aspire to be that man. I can't animate for life, but I aspire to be as cool as you.
Oh, a fun fact though about that song is that I learned the translation of that into English is basically giving the instructions of how the magic's supposed to be built back up again. Okay. And like saying basically that Maribel and Abuela need to make up. Nice. Basically. But no, summary.
Speaking of the makeup though, like one, it's they're just standing in the river where her husband died. Basically kind of just apologizing. And then music swells, you get the butterflies flying around, and I'm just like, that shot when they look out towards the mountain, that split mountain, rising sun, I'm like, that. It's been a long time since I've seen a movie be a picture frame, like in theaters, and that was one of those moments. That was fantastic. But moving on to that, though, the best original song as well. That seems to be a topic of recognition from some people here and there. I don't necessarily think it. I don't know.
I think if any of the songs should be nominated for that, it probably should be the one that Louisa sings about, Surface Pressure, for sure.
Really? I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of Surface Pressure. I totally get why it's fantastic, and I'm right there with him. Like, I just like that ending song though. It's beautiful.
Feel like more people relate to that though, as far as like all the siblings 100%. And stuff. 100%. And even though we don't talk about Bruno's a bop, I feel like it should just kind of stay that and not necessarily be nominated.
The reason why we don't talk about Bruno is as fantastic as it is a bunch of melodies combined into one, just kind of talking about this one character. Yeah. Whereas service pressure.
Masterfully done, though. Don't get me wrong.
Whereas service pressure is not so much a song about this one character. It's a song about yourself and dealing with those anxiety and fears. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
I should have brought water. It's good. But no, the reason why that resonates because Howard Shorman. The man wrote the music for Little Mermaid back in the 80s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I believe this is Howard Shorman. One of his defining philosophies was musical theater is dead, but animation can revive it.
Oh, interesting.
And this is why I adore animation, because anything and everything can be done.
True.
You're not constrained to CG, which is animation. You're not constrained to what the actors are capable of doing. Your constraint is, all right, if we want to make this, how crazy can we go without stressing out the animators?
Right.
And how much money is the studio going to give us? He's saying you get moments of Little Mermaid was like Under the Sea, a beautiful intro start. You have moments like Let It Go, which, as overplayed and overdone as that song is, it is a power moment.
It is, yeah, honestly.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're fine, it's okay.
But then, even songs like I'm Still Here from Treasure Planet, where it's a montage song.
I love it, though.
No one sings, but it's the visual background and what it can do. Great, that's not a musical theater, for example.
Right.
As opposed to something like Aladdin, which Robin Williams, friend like me, oh my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So is a whole new world, too, honestly.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the fact that animation can do and say anything. And you just need to be a competent person behind both the script, directing, voice direction, everything to get it done right.
True.
Which is why I'm still to this day a little annoyed by the Oscars just refusing to recognize that.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of crap animation out there, but there's also a lot of crap live action out there. And,
that is true.
If we want to celebrate the good. Bring in everything. Don't just limit it to 5 movies. Do what you do for Best Picture, raise it to 10, and see what can be done with that. I would love to see another Miyazaki movie be recommended for Best Picture or Best Animated Feature. I would love to see something from France, Spain. I don't know that
right?
much. The fact that Klaus, of all things, in 2019 was nominated brings me joy, because that movie is fantastic.
It was so good. I loved it.
That movie's fantastic, and that ending, oh my God. There's something about animation and the way it concludes that not only is it perfect, but there's just something about it to me. It's just the mysticalism of it. Like,
it seems like the payoff is just grander for some reason.
Yeah, I don't even think it's the payoff. I think it's just me, because I'm an animation fan. Like you.
Really?
Wow, big shock.
Whoa!
What a twist!
What a twist!
But I prefer animation to any other forms of visual media, and whether it be something like a rom-com, for example, like if we gotta go back to anime, Love Is War, or fucking hilarious shit. sorry, I should not have said that, but whatever. Or something like your family drama, or just the existential dread that is Toy Story.
Yeah.
That entire movie, that series is about like growing up and realizing as a parent you're not needed all the time, which is just like. But yeah, no. This is something about animation. It's just such a mysticism to it that to me I just buy in and I love, and the fact that it's just like, all right, we gotta go and make sure that the lighting is good. Like, no, it's everything is handcrafted. Right. Everything is done by an individual's hands or a program, but it's because of that. There's someone coming out.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's okay. They're just doing their job.
All right, I have one more quick question for you.
Hit me. Metaphorically.
Dang it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, is there anything that if you were behind the producing of the show that is the Oscars, something that you would change that you haven't already mentioned?
I would change the host immediately. I don't care who they are this year. I don't care where they come from. I'm changing the host. I'm tired of talk show host.
That is valid.
I'm tired of A-list celebrities and people like that giving out awards like this. They're apparently like happy. No, I want. You know what? Here's what I want. You know how I want to host the Oscars? I would like a key grip from No Way Home to get up on that stage in a suit. He's like, I'm hosting now. I don't care. I work in this industry. I'm behind the scenes. I don't get any recognition. Like, sir, here's your recognition. You did a phenomenal job. Please tell me what's going to happen tonight.
That would be really cool, honestly.
I'm like, no. My big thing is like, the reason why I'm somewhat annoyed by Oscars is a lot of celebrities are just like telling you what to think, using it as a political and social message. Which on the one hand, that's fine, but on the other hand, like,
that's not what you're there to watch.
It's 3 bloody hours.
Yeah.
Listen, we get it. You're appreciative. So, in the words of Ricky Gervais, come up, grab your little award, say your thank yous, and F off. And then move on with it. Thank your agent and your God. Get out. I don't want to be lectured to. If I want to be lectured to, I will go to a classroom, sit down, and wait to be lectured by a professor.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons you watch the Oscars is to get away from things like that.
You're not in any qualification to tell me what to do. You live in a $30 million mansion on the LA coastline who doesn't have to pay taxes because he just moved to Costa Rica and got off on a tax break.
Yeah.
No, I
have a feeling you were referencing someone in specific for that.
Probably, yes. No, I would like nothing. Looking ball. I would like to see I would like to see a key grip. I would like to see your best boy. I would like to see your entire gaffer department just walk up. I'm running the Oscars, and no one opposes it. Who's accepting awards? It's going to be the people who ran the set. I want to see your ADs walk up on here. I'm like, director didn't choose show. Stars aren't here. I don't care. I'm taking this home tonight. And if any opposition, no one. Sweet, mine now. I'm the best AD here. I'm like, yes, you are, sir. You ran this set. It's the director's vision, but sir, it is not accomplished without you. You're the one doing the groundwork. Go.
Well, speaking of accomplished, I am so happy that you have graced us with your presence on this episode.
I rambled way too long. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It was all very wonderful information. I'm so glad that you rambled as much as you did.
I did ramble. I rambled way too long, but that's okay.
No, but I loved it. It was great. And I'm sure everyone's going to like it too.
It was a fun time.
So tune in next time and see me and Lauren reunited again.
Hopefully. You will be. I know you will be. You got this.
Yeah. Ta-ta.